So I want to give an update on my damage claim with HyreCar with my 2009 Prius, and this is quite a journey. I have some great tips for you on how to get the most money out of your claims with HyreCar. But I'll go over the damage real quick. So basically, my renter went over a curb. It was like a divider in the middle of the street. Went over a curb going pretty fast. This, what you see on the rim right here, is actually already there. The same guy did that, but there was a crack in the rim right here, which is you can kind of see, which I think was from going over that curb. But it had two blown out tires on the driver's side of the car, and it also had like one of the hubcaps was missing, and the other, there's a little hubcap on the side here that should be here, and then the other you can see the tires are just like destroyed. But then there's also this from a separate accident, which the runner didn't tell me about. So I was glad about this too. So I figured when HyreCar paid me out with the claim, you know, it'd be for the two tires and the hubcaps and the bumper and the rim too, because I clearly showed them a picture where the crack was in the rim. Not just that like curb rash kind of damage, but there is an actual crack like in one of the spokes in the rim. So I figured they'd pay me out for that stuff. And what I ended up doing was, because I want to get the car rented out again as fast as possible. So instead of waiting for them to pay me out, what I did was I bought two new tires right away. I got the tires installed. And this on the back bumper here, I was actually really happy about this, because the lowest deductible you can get with HyreCar is $500. So I knew I was going to get $500 taken out of the claim. So with the two tires, you know, I would have gotten like nothing. Pretty much would have had to pay like just $500 out of my pocket, even getting it done cheaply. But the bumper here is like $1,000, $1,200. So I figured they'd pay me out for this, and then it would cover the other stuff like the hubcaps and the tires and stuff, and maybe pocket like $200 profit or something. And what happened is I got the two new tires put on right away. And this right here, what I did, so all you gotta do for this is I just heated it up with a hairdryer. You can reach around back with your hand or the crowbar or something and just pop it out as good as you can. And it'll still look a little messed up, not perfect, but even if you have a nicer, newer car, it'll be good enough to rent out right away. You could wait to get the rest repaired. Or with this car, it's already old. It's a Prius. People don't really, buying Priuses for the way they look anyway. And the paint on this car, it already had like sun damage paint on the roof and the hood. So the way this looked after I popped it out, it's not going to affect the value of the car at all. So I'm not going to bother to, pay $1,000, $1,200 to get it fixed. I'm not going to bother to do it myself either. It's still a few $100s in parts and crap and a lot of work. So I was happy about that. But HyreCar ended up completely ripping me off in their cash payout. And HyreCar with their claims process too is extremely slow. Like it takes forever. At least it feels like it does when, it's a car that you're using to rent out and you're getting income and money from it. While the car is sitting there waiting to be repaired, you're not getting any income. And I'm used to Turo. They're extremely fast. I've made a few different claims with them, and I have money in my account within like 3 days after I file the claim. They are extremely fast usually. Right now I have a much worse claim with Turo. It's a lot more extensive damage. That one's taking longer so far. That one will probably be a total loss, and they said they want to actually send an appraiser out in person to look at it. But with minor claims like this stuff, they are really fast. Like 3 days, money in your bank account. So it was just really stressful just waiting for HyreCar. And what I didn't realize is when I replaced the tires myself is there ended up being damage underneath the car, like non-visible damage to the suspension components. And I'd never had damage like this, so I figured I would just replace the rim and the tires and I'd be good. I found a used rim from a salvage yard for like $70. That was fine. The hubcaps I found a 4-pack of new hubcaps on eBay for only $100. I had some extra ones too because I only needed 2 of them. But when I went and drove it after I got the tires fixed, it pretty much felt fine, but the steering wheel was all crooked, like over to the side when the car was going straight. So then I thought maybe it just needed alignment. Brought it to the alignment place, and they're like, well, since you hit a curb, probably there's some bent parts under there. You should get it checked out at a repair shop. So I brought it to the dealer, got diagnosed. It needed like $2,200 in like suspension components replacement work done underneath the car. Needed 2 struts, both control arms, and then on the left side it needed the hub assembly and the ball joint. So that was a lot of work. And then HyreCar ended up completely just ripping me off with the estimate, which I'll show you in a second. So it's very normal that they won't include in the cash payout like damage that isn't visible, like damage for the suspension parts. But I did get it diagnosed, and I sent the diagnosis to them before they completed the estimate. So I was hoping they would still pay me for that. But I wasn't really expecting it. But I thought for sure they'd give me money for the tires, the rim, the hubcaps, and obviously I thought for sure the bumper. That was just an obvious one. I sent them pictures of all of it. And when I was looking at HyreCar's like terms of service on their site, on their website about the for their like insurance, they actually state that they don't cover damage from like hitting curbs or things like that. So I was worried they weren't going to pay me out for that at all. I was like, all right, at least they'll pay me for the bumper. You know, I'll get like $500 or $600 or something at least after my deductible, even if they don't pay me anything for the tires or anything. But the damage ended up being really strange. Ended up including both the tires, both the hubcaps, and an alignment in this estimate, which was really weird. They didn't include the bumper, and they didn't include the rim, which I had a very clear picture of. And I wasn't really surprised that they didn't include the suspension damage, but they should have, because I did send them an estimate before they sent me this anyway. So I was pissed, and it took them they're really, really slow. It took them like 5 weeks or something just to give me the estimate, I think. And I think average insurance companies take about a month. But the thing is, I'm used to Turo being so quick, and it makes sense that Turo is fast because they know if your car is sitting there not being rented out, Turo's not making any money either. So it's in Turo's best interest to get the damages fixed as fast as possible. So you would think that HyreCar would be like that too, but they take forever. And I was so mad because they just completely tried to rip me off with this. And after the $500 deductible, I was only got $290 for something that even to fix myself, even without the bumper, it cost me like $1,000 just to do the tires and the front end and stuff. So I was so angry, and I was emailing them, trying to get them like, hey, why isn't the bumper in there? Why isn't the rim in there? It was ridiculous. Like, it wasn't surprising that they didn't include the suspension work. That seemed sort of normal, even though they should have, because I sent them the diagnosis for it. But it's common, like usually when they send you an initial estimate, an insurance company, they give you just the visible damage from the pictures, and then, you know, say like the bumper is messed up, and they'll give you a quote to replace the bumper. But say once you bring it to the shop, they remove the bumper, there's broken parts underneath the bumper that weren't visible. The shop has to file what's called a supplement to the insurance company, like a supplement request. The insurance company should usually approve it, and then the insurance company will pay for the extra amount that it costs to fix the damaged parts underneath. So it's kind of normal that they didn't include the suspension parts, but I don't know why they didn't include the other things, which are clearly there. So I was so mad. They completely tried to rip me off. I was trying to contact them. They were just completely ignoring my emails. They never answer their phone. Like your adjuster will not answer your phone calls. I tried to call them so many times. Completely ignoring my emails. I was asking about this, and obviously they're just trying to rip me off, hoping they can give me $290 for damages that are like, you know, $4,000 worth of damages. So I was freaking out. I was pissed. I was so mad at HyreCar. So what I ended up doing, though, I was able to file my own supplement, and I got an extra $3,700 on top of this $290 payment. And I'm going to explain how I did that in a minute. So basically a supplement, when they file a supplement, all it is a shop will just include, you know, maybe some photos of the extra damage or diagnosis or something, and they just include an estimate. And estimates are very easy to write up, but only when you have the software. Shops have software where they just click, you know, you just click on the parts that you want to replace. They have like parts diagrams for all these different cars. You put in what car you have, the exact parts will come up, you click on it, and it just automatically calculates all the labor and everything, because there's set amounts of labor time for like replacing and doing work on different parts. There's an amount of like hours that you're allowed to charge for labor, and it automatically calculates everything. And with body work, because all the paint and everything, it's even more complicated. So at first I was going to go to this small body shop where I know the owner, I'm kind of friends with him. I was going to just ask him to file the supplement for me, and I would just pay him a bit of money for it. And apparently he's done this a bunch before, because it sounded like they do this, but he wanted me to have, he needed my car there in person for some reason. I wasn't sure why. His English is really bad, but for some reason he needed my car at his shop in person, even though I told him, I'm like, hey, I've already repaired everything myself, but he needed the car there for some reason. But my car was out on a rental. I'd already fixed it myself and started renting it out on Turo. So I didn't want to use HyreCar again because I was, you know, so angry about this. And obviously it doesn't make sense to have cars on HyreCar if they're going to get damaged very frequently, and they rip you off in the payments and they take forever to pay you. So I put my car back on Turo. So what I did was I found this I was looking at body shop estimate software online, and this one had a free trial, a 2-week free trial. So I got the free trial, put in my own. I have an LLC for my rental car business, so I used my own LLC name as the shop name, wrote up my own estimate for the supplement, submitted that. I put in all the suspension work, and I knew what parts need to be replaced because I got the diagnosis from the Toyota dealer. And I put in the rear bumper replacement and paint and body work and all that. And it took them only about 3 days to approve the supplement. And I was worried too, because my LLC name, I'm not like a registered or licensed repair shop, and I don't know if you have to be to do that, if they're going to check that. And also my address and phone number for the shop was my same address that HyreCar has on file, and it was even my same phone number too. But they approved it in within 3 days. The adjuster actually called me, but I missed the phone call, so I didn't get that. But then he emailed me and he's like, hey, the supplement looks pretty straightforward. They approved it. Within 3 days they sent me the approval, and then they adjusted the price slightly from my estimate. It was just like $100 or $200 lower for some reason, and it ended up being about $3,700. And I thought maybe they'd put the bumper in a separate claim and take out another $500 deductible, which would make sense because it was technically two different incidents. Like the bumper was not the same accident as the other thing, so it makes sense that they would take out $500 twice. But they didn't. They just approved it, and then it took a few more days to get the money into my bank account. They are really slow, even with like depositing money. It just seems like HyreCar can be kind of slow. But I got an extra $3,700 on top of the $290. It only cost me about $1,000 total to do all the repairs myself, which I'll show you in a minute. I'll go over the cost. But yeah, I was able to file the supplement myself, and you could do this yourself, by the way, too. You don't need to download the software either, because obviously I can't use the free trial again in the future. So what I'll do is all you got to do is just get an estimate for the damage from another shop. But if you're getting supplemental damage that's underneath stuff, you kind of have to know what you're doing, or at least the shop has to know what you're doing. Like it kind of has to be your shop. Go to a mom and pop shop. If you have a good relationship with a repair shop already, you should go to them and be like, hey, I'm going to repair this myself, but I need a supplement for it, or I need an estimate. You can just pay the shop, just pay them like $20 just to get an estimate done. Have them email you the estimate. You can go in and you could use that shop's estimate, but I wouldn't do that since they might call the shop and it's not really fair. you could put in your own change the shop name to your own LLC name. Just go in and edit the info, because there'll be like a sheet like this here at the top of the sheet. At the top of the estimate, it'll just be like the shop info and stuff. Change the name to your own LLC name. You could even just make up a fictitious shop. Make like a second phone number. There's phone apps you can use to make an extra phone number. Make sure it's like a local number, so it makes the business look legit. Just put in a phone number and an address, and then boom, and you should be good like I can. And that's how you can file your own supplements and get much more money. And repairs too, they never include the, like HyreCar and Turo, they never include like blending on their repairs either, which blending is like, say you're replacing the bumper. A nice shop will include blending, especially if it's like a insurance repair, because they know the insurance is going to pay for it. They'll usually put in a supplement for the blending. Say the bumper is going to get replaced. You can just paint the bumper and slap the bumper on the car, but the color of the paint will be slightly off. It's always going to be slightly off. Sometimes you won't be able to tell the difference, but a lot of times you can. So what they do, the shop will paint the other panels that touch the bumper. So they might paint the bumper, and then also it's called blend the color onto both of the rear quarter panels, which the price for that can add, that costs a lot more money too. So like when I wrote my own supplement, I knew that and included the blending within the back bumper replacement, so that adds on a lot of price too. And I don't recommend just taking advantage of the insurance companies. Like if you're not doing the blending, I don't recommend filing a supplement for blending and ripping them off. But you know, with HyreCar, I didn't feel bad at all about it because they tried to rip me off so bad. But anyway, that's how you can file your own supplements, and that's how my damage claim went. And I ended up making a lot of money on it. I'll go over my expenses real quick. Go over how much it cost me. Cost me about $1,000 total, but I'll go over everything. So yeah, so I was able to find, I just put 2 hubcaps in here because I needed 2, but I was able to find 4 new hubcaps for about $100. Paid about $200 for 2 tires, $60 to get the tires installed. And I made another video too about how to find like the best tires for your Turo cars and stuff, so if you want to check that out. But I buy my tires from Walmart. $77 total for a used rim. I paid $235 to get the diagnosis done at the dealer. And then this is the main thing. So it was about $2,200 for that suspension work. What I did was go to the same salvage yard I got the rim. It cost me $320 to get used parts. Threw those on there. That ended up making the labor a lot easier too, because I needed to replace the hub and the ball joint. And when I bought the hub, it just had the ball joint already on it, and then that way I can just, the hub has a bunch like a bearing in it and all this stuff, and the ball joint, which can, the labor is, it's pretty labor intensive, and you need specialized tools to be able to do that, especially like the bearing replacement. So I was able to get it with everything already assembled and just slap the new hub on, which it only took me like 5 hours of labor to replace all the stuff on it. So it ended up being pretty easy. So I was able, you know, make, you know, get an extra like $1,900 or something, and it just with five hours extra labor doing it myself. So yeah, and then I paid for a couple lifts, $11 each to get back and forth from the dealer. So it cost me like about $1,000, and I ended up getting about $4,000 in cash for this. So I made about $3,000, and I was able to, you know, repair the bumper, just pop the thing out, which is fine. So yeah, if you can do your own body work, like most damage is going to be body work stuff, not not mechanical repairs like with the suspension like this with accidents. But yeah, if you can do your own body work, or like own your own body shop or something, and just know a lot about body work and you can get the repairs done very cheaply, you can make a lot of money, especially now how I showed you how you can file for your own supplements.